Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode number 25 of the Beyond the Ring with Big T Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Big T, right here along with you, and we also got, as usual, my co-host, Sean.
Hello, everybody.
Happy birthday to you, Sean. I know it's your birthday today, so
Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate that.
special show here tonight for your birthday, a very special show. We have a member of one of the most illustrious wrestling families in professional wrestling history, and he's wrestled in the Cruiserweight Classic. He's wrestled on NXT. He is on the rise, doing great things. We got, I would say, one of the brightest rising stars in the wrestling business right now. We got Mr. Sean Maluta on the show with us here tonight. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, appreciate you being here. It's a pleasure. I want to start off by asking you, Sean, what was it like for you, growing up in, just this wonderful family that's so rich in pro wrestling history, like you grew up in, and at what age, and like what was the first thing that got you interested in the professional wrestling business that made you decide this is what you wanted to do for the rest of your life?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty blessed to be a part of the family that I'm in, and to be as close to the wrestling business at an early age as you can be. Obviously I have a lot of family members that have gone on to be very successful and do great things, and some of them are on TV today. Maybe no one is closer to me in my family than my Uncle Alpha, who was more like a dad to me. So, through him, I got to experience a lot of great things in my childhood. He had a long career as a tag team wrestler himself, but then he also became a manager for the Head Shrinkers, which is, early 90s, mid 90s, and that was around the time when I was, just starting to walk and things like that. So, he was on the road, and I got to experience a lot of cool things. I got to, attend some of the first Raws ever. I got to go to WrestleMania 10. I was still kind of a baby then. It just, my love for it just carried on over the years, I think because of that. And, there was no doubt, once I was of legal age to start training and to get in the ring and be taken serious, that's exactly what I was going to do. Training centers and wrestling events all my life, it seems. So I was just waiting my time to, so I can be a part of it. I started training when I was 14. The Wild Samoan Training Center, it was located in Pennsylvania at the time. It actually still is. We have a couple of Wild Samoan Training Centers. One down here in Florida and the other one in Pennsylvania still.
Hey, Sean.
What's that?
Hey, Sean. The one in Pennsylvania, is that the one in Allentown? Because I used to watch a show, WXW, every Sunday night out of Allentown, run by your Uncle Alpha.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. It's in Allentown. Now Samu has taken over the training center up there. It's been like that for, I want to say, 7 or 8 years now. My uncle moved to Florida around that time, and then he opened up shop over here. So we got 2 versions of the training center going on. But, I started that when I was 14, and, the rest was history. It was, I had to be 18 to start legally wrestling on events. Back then, I'm not sure if it's still the same, but, needless to say, I had a lot of years of training under me before I was, before I became a full-time competitor or anything like that. So, I think my childhood, being around the business, being around, getting to meet some of my heroes and idols at a young age, it just made me fall in love with, the whole business even more.
Now, for you, Sean, I know I know a lot about, a lot of people in your family and, all the success that they have had. And with you coming from that family, a family, and I know how they pride themselves in their work and they've all trained hard and they work hard, from all the stories that I've heard and seen on TV. And, just wondering with you being a part of that family and you wanting to get in the wrestling business, what was training like? Because I consider that I could imagine that the training had to be intense for you.
Yeah, well, I definitely didn't get any special treatment, compared to anybody else that was training at the time. I just try to, work as hard as anybody else. Training could be brutal at times, especially, I'm a 14-year-old kid at the time, and, I probably weighed 30 or 40 pounds, lighter than I am now. And, it takes a toll on your body, especially when you're just a kid. So, I had to get used to bumps and things like that. I mean, sometimes we would warm up with 1,000 squats alone. And, you feel like you're spaghetti legging, before you even get in the ring. And that's all good stuff, it all, to molding you. You gain that toughness and, you become stronger. And, as time goes on, things get easier. But that some days were more brutal than others. I think my uncle's a great trainer. I think he he expects the best out of everybody, and including me at the time.
Now, when you were training, you said you started at 14, so you trained, I'm assuming now, for 4 hard years before you had your first professional match. And who was your first professional match against? Like, what was the first company you wrestled for in your first match against? Like, how did you get started after going through the intense, brutal training?
Yeah, the Wild Samoan Training Center is pretty much directly connected to WXW, which is also my uncle's promotion. So I've always considered that my home. I can remember as I was training, I wasn't legal to get in the ring yet, but I was able to do some camera work. I was actually the ringside cameraman for a lot. I spent time setting up the ring and things like that. And just willingly to do so. I just wanted to be around it and contribute to it as much as I could. It's always been my home promotion, and it still is today. So there's no doubt that was going to be my first destination. I can remember I got my first taste, and it was like a battle royal type of deal, which was fine because especially first match or first couple matches, your nerves are kind of going, and it could be the first time being in front of a crowd in that capacity. So I think a battle royal was cool to get my feet wet a little bit. My first singles match was against a guy named Tonic. He was also a trainee.
Audio. All right, guys, we're getting Big T and Sean Maluta back on the air. Hope everyone's enjoying the show so far. A lot of good insight on this Samoan dynasty here, and we got them back. Here we go.
We're back. All right, here we go. You can continue, Sean.
So my first match was against a guy named Tonic. He was also a trainee at the Wild Samoan Training Center. A lot of our roster is made up of the students that ended up graduating from the training center. So it was, the rest was history from there. I got to do a lot of cool things from there. it wasn't or after when I was competing for the cruiserweight title. That was my first championship that I've ever won against my later to become tag team partner, who is Jaka. He wrestles all over the Northeast and everywhere else. We used to be a tag team called the Island Kings. I did a lot of cool stuff in WXW, and I mentioned before, since Samu took over the training center up there, he also created his own promotion called WXW C4, another version of WXW, so I spent a lot of time working there. At that point, I was, I wanted to start traveling. I wanted to wrestle at all the indies that I could. So I spent, the beginning of my career, I spent a great deal of time doing that. Mainly, the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. A lot of cool things. Got to tag with a few people that that I've always watched on TV, like Sabu, even Haku. There's a lot of cool stuff, and my uncle made the move down to Florida, and I just felt like I needed to keep training under him. So eventually I made the move, which was in 2010.
In 2010, when you made that move, I believe that was when correct me if I'm wrong. I believe 2010 is when WWE, they had FCW out there before it was NXT. So when you moved out to Florida, did that automatically go off in your mind, like, I think I want to take a shot at FCW and see what happens?
Well, I think no matter where my uncle was moving at the time, I think I would have followed him, just because, I take training that serious, and, I just needed to be with him and keep learning under him. And, it was just by coincidence, really, that, WWE developmental was here. So I want to say about a year and a half, after I moved, I was able to start receiving tryouts and, getting my first taste at that. I actually did a tryout at FCW. It was my second tryout. It was, I think it was like 3 days long. I got to wrestle Xavier Woods, so that was cool. I just started started getting tryouts from there, and got a lot of bookings for extra work, at Raw and SmackDown and things like that. So it was definitely appealing that, the development of WWE is already here in Florida. It just made it that much more better, and I think it made me that much more hungrier.
That is, that's incredible, going from working with your family and training, with your uncle, and then moving to Florida, and then, having the WWE out there, and like you said, getting even hungrier for it, and then, going out there and actually going after it. Now, when you were training down in Florida, did you get a chance to wrestle on any FCW shows? Did they give you a taste to actually go out there and get in front of the camera?
No, besides the security spot on Raw, I never wrestled on any kind of WWE broadcast until the Cruiserweight Classic. It was a couple of years of tryouts, a couple of years of bookings, but nothing really panned out for me until the Classic rolled around. Around the guys, I was still learning. I just every tryout, obviously, you want that to be the one that that where you make it. But if not, then I was just gonna show back up every single time. That much more better, that much more coachable. Maybe tweak some things about me. Criticize myself, and work on things, and trying to present the best version of myself. So I'm still kind of doing that today with the opportunities I get. Just going in there and doing the best I could.
Now, when you took bookings for a few years, before the Cruiserweight Classic, after FCW and everything, who did you get a chance? Who did you get a chance to work with? Did you have like any standout rivalries or classic matches with some guys that really stick in your mind?
As far as wrestling down here in Florida, WXW is my home, and it's almost like I've been kind of exclusive to it. The only time I've ever missed shows was because I was injured, which I considered them minor injuries. Looking back on it, it didn't keep me out too long. But WXW has been the place where I learn and grow. Got to wrestle a lot of good guys over the years. Just to drop some names, you got ERA, Nick Nero, the Beast. These are all WXW mainstays, and some of them are kind of exclusive too. Working for my uncle's cool because he knows how the system works. He tries to. It's not just. I don't know if I don't want to sound biased, but it's not like going out there and working for any kind of indie promoter. He takes the time to critique you and help you learn, help you get better. And that's what I've been doing ever since I made the move down here.
I understand exactly what you mean by that. Like with some indie companies, you just do your booking and then you go out there and you do your thing, and that's pretty much it. Which it sounds like in WXW, that you guys get a lot of direction over there. Like your uncle gets his own homegrown talent, and you guys have your own talent, and they stay there. They're actually homegrown talents of the WXW product.
Can I just tell Sean?
A lot of guys in our roster have had some of the opportunities I've had, or at least similar ones. Getting a lot of extra work, showing up at NXT. So quite a few of them actually had matches on Raw and SmackDown in the last couple months. It's definitely a great place to learn, and definitely a great place to try to achieve your dreams.
Incredible, Sean. Now, my co-host Sean has a question for you, so I'm gonna toss it to him real quick here.
Hey, so when I was growing up, I would watch WXW out of Valentine every week. It was so good. But as of now, is the product still airing in Allentown? Because I don't get it on my TV anymore, and I'm wondering. I know it's branched out to Florida and Allentown, but do you ever get to go up with the Allentown C4 brand and work there?
But it was mainly before I made the move down to Florida.
Cool.
I was actually a mainstay there until I moved, and now I try to anytime I visit the northeast, I try to get some work over there. We were actually WXW was the first independent to have, I should say one of the first, because I'm not sure if it's accurate, but one of the first to have live TV broadcast on local television in Allentown at the time.
It was so good.
That was pretty cool, especially me at a young age, getting to wrestle on live TV. No matter how big, the audience was, that's pretty cool.
I'm
sure about the TV broadcast anymore, or the cable deals, especially for C4. I know down here in Florida, we were also on local television for a couple of years, but I'm not sure what the deal is as far as the best way to see the product other than, you know, the internet, YouTube and things like that.
I remember there were weeks, I think it was one week The Rock was on, Rikishi would be there all the time. And, you know, for their, like, my mom would never order me the WWE pay-per-views, but I could always count on WXW, like you said, on Service Electric. It was so much fun. And I hope anyone, if you ever get the chance, check it out. Check out some of the old episodes because it is good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, we've had a long list of you know, top guys that have came through our company at one point or another. You know, like you mentioned, The Rock, Rikishi. We had Grill. You know, we had Rob Van Dam, Sabu, the Sandman. You know, a lot of top guys that have come through to work for WXW.
So awesome.
Now, Sean, one question that I actually forgot to ask you: when you had your first match, after all the years of training that you put in, how did it feel to get out there in front of a crowd for the first time? And what was that adrenaline rush like to finally step out in front of that crowd? And, you know, just to know that you made it, you know, professionally. This is your first match. You made it to the big dance.
Yeah, it's just special. You know, I knew for the better part of my life that, you know, that's what I was going to do. That was my goal. I was going to make it happen. But when the day finally came, you know, it's just a different kind of feeling that takes over you that I can't really explain. There was definitely a lot of pressure, a lot of nerves. You know, performing now, you know, even with the years of experience of training that I had, you know, nothing's like getting out there in front of a crowd and, you know, putting all the pieces together. So it was just a lot of excitement. You know, and after that first match, I just couldn't wait for more. You know, I just wanted to improve everything that I loved and growing up and everything that I watched and studied that was appealing to me. You know, that's what I try to base my style of wrestling around. And, you know, that's what I try to bring to the table. So, yeah, man, just a lot of excitement. You know, I was happy to get that first one out of the way. And, you know, it became a little bit easier after that.
That sounds like an incredible experience. And I'll tell you, even just listening to you describe it right now actually put a smile on my face. It made me happy actually hearing your story. It sounds like an incredible experience. And now where I want to move forward to after you know, you went down to Florida, you did, you know, the FCW deal for a little bit, and then you went back out and did bookings with WXW, and then after that, when you know, when all these years went by, what was it? How did you first discover the Cruiserweight Classic? Like, did you end up getting a call from the WWE with them showing interest? You know, for you to be in the Cruiserweight Classic, or did they hold some kind of tryout for you to go down to in Florida to qualify for the Cruiserweight Classic? How did this all come about? And when you actually, you know, made it in the Cruiserweight Classic, and, you know, you were finally able to showcase your skills on the WWE network in a big, you know, in front of a big audience at Full Sail, like, how did that all feel? So if you could take us through this entire process, please do.
Well, you know, over the last couple of years, I've had a lot of, you know, I've been lucky enough to have a lot of opportunities at tryouts and things like that, and you know, lots of bookings with NXT and things like that. You know, I mentioned before I was never used, but, you know, it was always still a good feeling going there and getting as much advice as I could, and, you know, just trying to learn, you know, what I had to do to be there. The last maybe 2 tryout matches I had, I felt like I was at the top of my game, and when it comes to the tryout process, Mr. William Regal is very instrumental in that. He's the guy that you deal with when it comes to the tryouts, and he's the one. He's mainly the one critiquing you and telling you all the do's and don'ts. It's just been a pleasure working with him and talking with him. Even just through a tryout. I was approached earlier this year, actually, about the Cruiserweight Classic from Mr. Regal. I think I built up enough trust in him and faith. He was going to give me this opportunity. And a couple of follow-ups later, and a couple of weeks, later, I started getting more real. I started getting confirmed for everything, and it was almost like a life-changing experience. I knew how huge the opportunity was going to be, but I never knew how big. I never would have thought it would have been as big as it became. So I was just very excited to be a part of it. I knew that this was going to be my first time on that platform, showing what I could do, and I knew I was I just felt very blessed about it. And what got me excited too was months went by. A lot of names were getting announced for it, or there was a lot of rumors going on about who was going to be competing. And a lot of these guys are the best in the world. So it was very cool and satisfying to be included in that. Being one of the 32 people in the world to be chosen for this. I had a lot of months to prepare and get ready, physically and mentally, and come soon, the whole thing was just surreal. It was kind of a week-long thing, meeting with everybody involved and the coaches and producers, things like that. A lot of time spent at the performance center, a lot of media done, it was very, very exciting to find out who I was going to be wrestling. Which I actually found out a couple of days before the actual match. I was already familiar with Ibushi, but well before the tournament, just because I'm such a big fan of Japanese wrestling. And it just made it that much more cooler. It could have been anybody in there for my first match, and it would have been special, but to be competing with one of the best in the world, it just made it that much more sweeter.
And Ibushi, I'm right there with you on that one, Sean. Ibushi is an incredible talent, and I have followed him, as well, with his career in Japan, and he does some outstanding work. So I could only imagine, for you to get in that ring for the first time in a WWE ring, going up against Ibushi, having a classic match. And I have spoken, with many other wrestlers, doing interviews with them. And I'm just curious because, there's been some wrestlers that have told me this. Like, when you train and, you wrestle, like they pretty much explain the same emotions that you do. But another thing I was told is that finally get into that WWE ring, it's like an entirely different animal, and it's this amazing feeling that can't be described. Is that true when you step into that WWE ring for the first time?
Absolutely. I even felt a little bit of it, it's a different feeling when it comes tryout time. I can remember having tryouts, before Raw and SmackDown, and you're not out there alone. Even though there's no fans in the building at the time, a lot of the boys are surrounding the ring, so you're wrestling in front of, from John Cena to Triple H to all the way down. You're performing in front of them. So that could be nerve wracking. But now to be in that ring, to be on the network, who I was competing with, and having it be my first time, it was definitely it's definitely an experience, a feeling I can't explain. And you just have to, at the end of the day, you have to block all that out, though, or else you can't do your job well. Your mind really has to take over, and you need to be in a comfortable place. To just do what you do. Do exactly what it is that got you there. So that's all I was really thinking at the time. I knew exactly what ring I was in and who I was wrestling in front of. But at the end of the day, you just got to go in and you got to have the mindset and do your job.
Exactly. You got the perfect mindset there. I do got to say perfect work ethic and perfect mindset. And I watch the Cruiserweight Classic, and I watch NXT, and I hear just hearing the crowds on TV, how loud they are. And I can only imagine how is the Full Sail University crowd like when you're actually in that ring, because that crowd seems pretty electric.
Yeah, I've had a couple matches there now at this point, and it's always been a great crowd to work in front of. Knows their wrestling. It's a crowd that is going to voice what they like and what they don't like, and most of them just appreciate what this business is all about. It's almost like an intimate setting. The building can't hold too many people. It's not like wrestling at Raw or SmackDown in these 20,000 seat buildings. But on the flip side of that, it actually makes it that much cooler. The style of presentation is a little bit different. So, the Full Sail fans, they're great, man. That's the crowd that I prefer to work in front of. The people that are just gonna give it to you, and be honest about what they feel. It could definitely get pretty loud in there. It's just passionate fans. That's all I can really say.
That's what? That's incredible. I hope I can get myself down there to Orlando when it's WrestleMania 33 time and make it to an NXT show, and I hope to see you there in the ring, and that would just be an incredible thing to witness, because I'd like to see you in action live, because what I've seen in the Cruiserweight Classic, with you and Ibushi, you do great work in that ring. And believe me, I'm not just saying that, because you're here as a guest right now. I'm saying that because I genuinely mean it. You do great work in that ring. I respect what you do, what all the members of your family do. You guys, work harder than any other family in wrestling history, I would say. And what I want to do now, before I go forward in your career and ask you about the future, with all of the members of your family that have had success, that have gone in the Hall of Fame, and all of the incredible things that I'm sure that you got to witness when a member of the family gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. Or say if there's a big match at WrestleMania, have you ever gotten to go Hall of Fame inductions or WrestleMania? And if you have, when you see a member of your family getting inducted into the Hall of Fame or competing at WrestleMania, I'm sure it makes you incredibly proud of them. But also, does it do you think in your mind wow, this is so incredible, and it just makes you work harder to, eventually end up at that point where, you'll be inducted in the Hall of Fame in the future, and you'll be competing at WrestleMania?
Yeah, absolutely. as a child, I mentioned that I was able to attend WrestleMania 10, but I think I was only like 5 years old at the time, so it's hard to remember when you're that young. But I started going to WrestleManias again when my uncle got inducted in the Hall of Fame, which was WrestleMania 23, which was in Detroit, I believe. That was just special for all of us, the whole family. Nobody deserves it more than my Uncle Alpha and his brother Sika. I thought that was an amazing experience. Not only to be there live at the Hall of Fame and witness everything. Not only seeing seeing some of the guys that I've watched on TV for years, getting to meet them for the first. I think I met Stone Cold for the first time that weekend. Not only all that good stuff, but it again, it's one of those things that it makes me hungrier. It makes me strive for more and want to get to that level more. It's just I always think like attending those weekends, it's almost inspiring. Nothing is bigger than WrestleMania, first of all. And then the Hall of Fame just puts the icing on the cake for the whole weekend. Those are always great experiences. I got to go to WrestleMania the next 2 years after that. High Chief Peter Maivia was inducted. Rocky Johnson was inducted. A few years later, Yokozuna was inducted. So it's been a great string of years for everybody in my family. I'm sure everybody's incredibly proud. They don't just let anybody in the Hall of Fame, so it's a tremendous accomplishment. It's really great being there live. I recommend it to anybody that hasn't experienced it. You get to see a different side of the guys that you've watched on TV for years. You get to hear a lot of cool stories, and you get to just view them in a different light. So yeah, it's definitely motivating. It's inspiring, and I'm just honored to be able to have those opportunities to witness stuff like that.
And besides the members of your family, because I know that you had to have gotten the greatest advice that you could get from members of your family, of course, but secondary, like as far as any of the boys or anybody like Stone Cold, who you met on WrestleMania weekend, was there any one man that gave you just like a piece of advice that you carry with you till this day?
Well, when I started going the first few years, I was I'm not sure if I was in the business yet as a wrestler. But it just seemed like every year that I went, I was able to relate more with the guys. I was able, the more experience that I gained in the business, I was able to, hold, conversations with them. Not as a kid anymore meeting them, but as almost like like one of them. As far as advice, nothing's coming to mind right now, but just a lot of cool talks with a lot of cool people. Stone Cold was one who I think is the greatest that ever lived. He was another. I met him when I was a kid at Raw, when I could barely remember, but I kind of re-met him at WrestleMania 28, and that was just awesome, man, to see. That guy means so much to me in my career. It was just awesome to finally, talk to him as a grown-up this time. You can always count on the Usos to take care of me. Roman, those guys are family anyway, but they always take care of me when I'm at Raw or SmackDown, things like that. I also get a lot of advice from the guys that show up to our training center, like Scotty Tuhati has been around our training center a lot. Too Cold Scorpio, Ricardo Rodriguez. These are all, guest trainers that have come through and, offered some, experience and advice there. So, WrestleMania is a hectic weekend. It's not really kind of about that. Still, any kind of reaction and interaction I've had with those guys, I always try to, take a little piece of that with me.
That is, just hearing that, it makes me even, think and know how special that the pro wrestling business is, because even though, I'm not a wrestler, I'm not an entertainer, I've been a fan of the product and, respect what all of you do for, my whole life since I was a little kid. And, I have cerebral palsy, so, I can never actually get in the ring and wrestle. And, I've been just following my dream, doing this, doing podcasts, doing interviews. And, I'm hoping one day I could get into the business as a, commentator or backstage reporter, and, just talking with the guys that I've met, because I've been to like 7 WrestleManias, and I know exactly what you mean. Like when you go to these autograph sessions and you talk to some of these guys and you get a couple minutes of their time, and you get to get advice from them, and they're just incredible people. They really are.
Yeah, there isn't quite anything like wrestling. That's for sure. It's physical. It's got drama. It's just a great business to be a part of. And any time to talk to those guys that you watch on TV is always going to be special. Unless they mean to you and they let you down.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really run across that, maybe like once or twice, but I'll tell you, the majority of the boys that are there, they're just absolutely incredible people. And
yeah, see, when I always think back to when I was a fan, and how much even more special everything seems. And I would want my hero or my idol to be cool with me and give me the time of day. So now, since I'm in the business, I always remember that. I try to give back to all kinds of fans, that want to take the time with me. I try to stay as humble as possible and remember where I came from, and remember, the feelings that I had, talking to the people that I loved. I just try to give that back today.
And that's a very important thing, and I really, really respect that. And that's what's going to excel you in the business. And it's amazing, because a lot of the boys that I met have that same attitude. And I'll tell you, just talking with you, I could tell that very same thing about you. You're a very humble guy. I'm having a great time. I'm comfortable as ever. It's really an honor to sit here and interview you and talk about these great things that we're talking about right now. And want to move forward with, we talked about the Cruiserweight Classic. Now, after the Cruiserweight Classic, you had some appearances in NXT, right? Against a couple of guys.
Yeah, the Cruiserweight Classic kind of opened the door for that. I was able to wrestle one of my favorite, pretty much, Hideo Itami. That was my first official NXT match. Nothing but great things to say about that. It was a great experience for me. Kenta, aka Hideo Itami, is a guy that I watch, I study, I respect. He's got the style that I like. When I watch wrestling, it was just awesome to be in the ring with him and that whole experience. And having it be my first match at NXT, ask for anything more. I had a couple. I've had some dark matches at the Cruiserweight Classic tapings. Even though I was eliminated in the first round, I was able to come back every filming, every taping, and wrestle on there. And just recently, my latest match at NXT was against Bobby Roode, which aired on the network last week. Another great experience, another top guy that I was able to share the ring with. I watched Bobby, a little bit from his TNA days, and the guy's just a mega star. The way he carries himself, he's a true professional. I thought the match, went well. It was great to work with him. So, I've had a couple of these opportunities since the Cruiserweight Classic. Any kind of opportunity I get, I'm just trying to make the most of it. I'm trying to knock it out the park anytime. Do my job, do what I'm asked of, and try to keep giving the fans a little bit more, a little bit something different than last time. And just like I said, to try to maximize any chance I get.
Now, with the Cruiserweight Classic opening these doors for you to have these couple of matches in NXT, did as of right now, did you get to sign a contract with NXT? Have you signed yet?
I have not signed. There has been no talks about that. Obviously it'd be something very appealing. It's always been a destination for me to wrestle. I'm sure 95% of the guys in the business will say the same. Right now I'm just keeping my options open. The Cruiserweight division is doing great on Raw. I'm happy to see, that come to life. I think it's pretty cool how, the Cruiserweight Classic kind of the reason why you have a whole division back on Raw today, which is, it makes it that much more cool to be a part of, a little small part of that. It's a big question mark right now, but like I said, I'm just gonna keep taking any opportunities that I get, and come back better every time.
That's the best attitude to have. I mean, to be honest with you, I've been watching out for you. When I watch Raw on Monday nights, I've been wondering, all right, when they have a cruiserweight segment, is Sean going to be on tonight? What's going to happen? Because I've been wanting to see you mix it up with some of the guys that they got up there on that roster, and get an opportunity to compete for that championship. I mean, that title, I kid you not. I think all the wrestling titles are beautiful. But I do have to say that I think that Cruiserweight title, how innovative and how modern it is, and just the color of the belt, I really think that's like the most beautiful wrestling belt that I've seen, in years. And, just thinking about it, what would it mean to you if the right opportunity presented itself? Just kind of doing some fantasy booking 101. If the right opportunity presented itself and you got a shot to go up to Raw and compete with those cruiserweights, what would it mean to you to hold that cruiserweight championship, and who would be your ideal opponent that you would like to face to get a shot at, trying to win that belt?
Well, that's a good one. Well, the exciting part for me is that, if that were to ever happen, there's a long list of cruiserweights that I think I can work very well with. Cruiserweight champ right now, TJ Perkins, I think I could tear it down with him. It's like how I felt in the tournament. I was just so happy to be in this great class of talent. And, it makes you feel pretty good. And I think the guys that you're going to be seeing on Raw now and in the future are going to be the best of the best from that tournament. And maybe who knows, maybe some other names that haven't been exposed yet on TV or even in the Classic. There's a lot of guys I feel like I can work great with. One of them. If we're talking ideal opponent right now, I think it would have to be. Oh man, it's tough because there's so much talent. But if we're going based on who's in the division now, I gotta say my man Rich Swann. He's a guy. I'm always hanging out with him whenever I'm over there. He's one of those eccentric guys that lights up the whole room. I'm a fan of his style, and I think that's what I look for when I look at opponents. How well can I work with that? So right now I would say Swann. Maybe tomorrow that would change, but I think if that ever happens, the cruiserweight championship would definitely be the goal.
That match because I love Swann's style. Rich Swann, I've been watching Rich Swann ever since he was in Ring of Honor, then moving up to NXT, now in the cruiserweight division, and he's just fantastic at what he does. And I'm curious because now this is one man that I followed for quite a while in my part of town because I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and Mr. Johnny Gargano, I know he was in the Cruiserweight Classic, and he was one guy, that I've witnessed his whole indie career, living up here in Cleveland. And did you get to interact with him at all, or have you ever had any matches with him, somewhere down the line?
Yeah, I had a little bit of interaction with him. Every time I'm at the Classic and at NXT, he's definitely good people. I enjoy his style and his work. He's a guy that, he literally made it from the bottom. So, you have to respect that. It's all paying off to him. I haven't had the chance to tie up with him yet. But, hopefully in the future, maybe even in the near future, who knows? I think his partner, Ciampa, is great too. Always great to talk to when I'm over there. Those are just two more guys that, is on that list of, that best in the world type of talent that's going on right now. I think the NXT crowd is loving them. I think eventually when they get to Raw, they're going to do well there too. So it's just exciting to know that, even though, nothing is set, nothing is confirmed, it's still exciting to know that at any given moment, I can be in the ring with those guys. And, it motivates me to stay on my game that much more.
That's awesome. Keep that motivation level up, and you're going about it the right way, without a doubt. Just by the way that you take pride in your work and you take it so seriously. Same with your training. I would pretty much guarantee. I know if I was someone working in WWE, I would definitely give you the call to go on up to the cruiserweight division. But I'm sure, like William Regal in NXT or one of the higher ups in WWE, they got to be giving you that call, man, because you got the right work ethic. And like I said, you're great in the ring. And I got a couple more questions for you here. And this is kind of like a two-part question. First off, what was your favorite match that you ever had up until this point in your career? Also, if you had an opportunity to face any wrestler in the world right now, who would it be? What would be your dream match?
Oh man. Let's see here. I think my favorite match so far has been in WXW, December 2011. It was actually against my old time partner that I mentioned earlier. He was wrestling under Johnny Longway at the time, and now he wrestles under Jaka. And we were called the Island Kings. We tagged, a little bit in the Northeast. I think that was my favorite match because I think we just both brought it that night. We have a similar mindset. We have a similar style. We actually grew up together. I think I met him when I was like 7 years old. When I started studying Taekwondo, martial arts, karate. So we come from a similar background. We actually even used to look like each other. We used to look like a team, and our styles have always gelled, whether we're tagging or competing against each other. So I think that would have to be my favorite so far. I mean, all the WWE matches are special in their own right. I gotta always put the Ibushi match up there, and even though it was a little bit shorter, Hideo Itami. Those are special for multiple reasons. As far as a dream match right now, I guess I can't wrestle Shawn Michaels because he's retired. But you know what? Believe it or not, it would probably be Chris Jericho because the list or anything. But when I think of like my top 5 favorites or top 10 favorites, I think he's the one that's still wrestling out of my list. If I have like a top 5, Jericho might be my 4 or 5 right now, and the other ones are either retired or out of the business or whatever. So let's name a guy that's one of my favorites of all time that has wrestled almost everybody on the planet, it seems. A guy that went through the ranks, Mexico, Japan, ECW, WCW, and then eventually the WWE. That's always been very respectful to me. I always loved the guys that gained the worldwide experience before getting to the WWE. A lot of guys go to WWE and they never, even though they might become successful, they never have that outside of the WWE experience. So I think Jericho would be an ideal dream opponent for me. I've always enjoyed his style, because he can do it all. He can go toe to toe with a small guy, a bigger guy. He can adjust his style. He's entertaining as hell. I mean, he's one of the most popular guys on the product, even today. He constantly reinvents himself. I appreciate all that stuff. So I would definitely say him.
And it's amazing that you spoke of Chris Jericho and even Shawn Michaels so highly, because I kid you not, ask my co-host, my 2 favorite wrestlers that I always brag about on the show, my 2 favorite wrestlers of all time, my number 1 is Chris Jericho, and my number 2 is Shawn Michaels. And those are like your 2, your 2 dream matches, it sounds like, and pleasure of meeting both men, and they're both such stand-up guys, and like those were my heroes that I looked up to, and getting to meet your heroes like that was just, it's a special feeling. And to even hear you talk about them, talk about these men that I looked up to such a degree, it's really an amazing thing to hear.
Yeah, those are 2 guys, man. You just can't. I don't know how you can't put them in your list of favorites. Like I said, Shawn Michaels is my favorite of all time. I think the first guy outside of my family that I was really drawn to was the Ultimate Warrior. Believe it or not, you know, he had the cool entrance and the colors, the tassels, um, the promos, just a crazy out there character. It was appealing to me as a fan and as a kid, and you know, once I started, you know, moving forward, Shawn Michaels just took over for me. You know, it was the Rockers. It was their first Intercontinental title run. You know, eventually he won the heavyweight title in one of the best matches of all time, the Iron Man match. You know, he was just it for me. You know, I always loved the well-rounded guys, the guys that I can relate to, maybe because of size, but also, you know, they can go with anybody. You know, they can work with anybody. They can and be believable. And I think those are two great examples of, you know, guys that can do that.
You hit it right on the head. You know, they could be great with anybody. I even kid you not. You could put Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho in there with the cardboard cutout of a superstar, and they'd probably make it a good match.
Yeah.
I was wondering real quick, like we heard him mention Iron Man match. Do you have any favorite gimmick matches of all time, like that you would like to compete in, or that you're just it's your favorite as a fan?
Let's see. Well, the Iron Man match, just because we just mentioned it, that's always cool. Just because not a lot of people can pull it off and keep people that interested for that long. You know, whether it's an hour or even a half hour could be difficult sometimes. You know, but you know, Shawn and Brett did it. You know, if not one of my favorites, that is my favorite match. I always loved you know, Hell in the Cells, Elimination Chambers. You know, ladder. I think the ladder match is probably my favorite of all time. I've only competed in one myself, and I also competed in a TLC. But the ladder match, for some reason, has always been cool to watch. You know, to me, just, you know, hang the belt up there, and let's see who can go grab it. You know, no pinfalls, no submissions. I think out of all the specialty kind of matches, I think the ladder match is my favorite.
And I got a question for you. Are you cousins with Roman Reigns?
I am, yeah.
Okay,
Roman
so
Reigns, those are all my extended cousins, man. Roman, the Usos. You know, Alfred Jr. is pretty close to me. He's more like a brother.
very cool.
My cousin Lance, he's Samu's son. He's the youngest one in the family, I think, competing right now. You know, he's up and coming. You know, we got a pretty big family.
Well, I got some cool news. I mean, I picked up today the PW Insider Top 500 Wrestlers of 2016, and your cousin Roman Reigns is #1 this year. So that's good news, but it's a really interesting piece of art on the cover. It has Roman Reigns with what I would call an effect of like a polarized picture of him. And I think what they're trying to get across is he's #1 because of how polarizing he is with the fans. And I'm wondering if you have any like viewpoint on that. Like, what do you make of the polarization of your cousin Roman Reigns?
To be honest, I think Roman's done a great job thus far in his career. He's a guy that had no wrestling experience at all up until I think it was like 2010 or 2011. And I think he picked up on the business very well. I think he's one of those guys that, you know, if he walks in a room, you know, immediately he draws attention. You know, that's something that you can't teach. You know, some people just got that aura about them. I think he's done a great job. You know, he worked hard in developmental. I think the Shield was a lot of people's one of people's favorite things to watch at the time. A favorite group of guys, assembled together. Stars afterwards. He's holding it down pretty well. For the family. The mixed reactions are always going to come.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty about wrestling and the business. The fans have a voice, and it's not going to stop him from accomplishing what he needs to do. So, I think it's pretty cool that he's number one. I haven't seen the cover, so I'm going to have to check that out myself. Yeah, how he's portrayed. But, I think he's one of the top guys in the business right now, and I think he's going to be here for a very long time. He's more than just a wrestler. He's got the charisma. He's got, like I said, you can't teach the presence that he has. I expect more big things from him.
And he's gonna kick some ass this Sunday at Hell in a Cell. It's gonna be a great match.
Yeah, I expect him to.
Definitely.
It's gonna be fun, and I'll tell you, I had it's now that we're talking about Roman, I just want to throw something in. I actually had the pleasure of I was sitting fourth row of ringside at WrestleMania 32, and I witnessed your cousin Roman bring home the WWE Championship against Triple H, and it was, it definitely was a great moment that will live on in WrestleMania history, and it was definitely special. Now, one of the things, were you there at that WrestleMania? Just curious.
No, I wasn't. I didn't get a chance to make it that year. I believe the last one that I attended was WrestleMania 28, which was The Rock and Cena.
Okay.
And a classic match with Hunter and The Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell.
Yep, the end of an era.
Yeah.
Now, with NXT, a question that I just remembered that I had on my list. I see of Hunter, in NXT, how he, he'll stand around the ring and he'll watch, the kids go to work. And sometimes if he feels that he needs to step in the ring and show, one of the kids the ropes, and, if he feels that he can help them with something, I've seen him actually get in the ring and tie it up, with a couple of the NXT superstars. And, I was just wondering that when you were there, tying it up in NXT, doing practices and stuff, was Hunter there, and did Hunter actually get in the ring with you and do some tie-ups with you?
Well, the great thing about him is he's very hands-on with everything that goes on there. I'm talking not even the matches, not even the actual in-ring stuff, but the whole production side of things. It's actually pretty amazing to watch of how hands-on he is. I've definitely seen exactly what you're talking about. I've seen him get in the ring and work on some things and show how it's done pretty much, or show what's expected. But he hasn't personally done that with me. I would love to have that opportunity one day, because my match or whatever I'm doing, that much more better. And I can know exactly what's expected from me. But it's just him. There's a great list of producers and agents that work over there. I'm a big fan of Norman Smiley. He's always there. William Regal, I mentioned him. Matt Bloom, he's the head coach of the Performance Center. He's great, and it's been a great experience. To answer your question, no, Hunter hasn't done that with me, but it's been a great overall experience working with these guys as a wrestler now. Not just know, not just as a fan or not even as an extra, you know, just as a, you know, as a wrestler that's being put on TV, and, you know, having a working relationship with you know, with those guys has been great. And you know, you know, a lot of times a dream come true.
Hey, Sean. I got some good news for you. I don't know if you know this, but I just checked the listings here in PW Insider, and you are in the top 500 wrestlers of 2016. You're at 364.
Appreciate that. I actually did. I actually did find out about that. One of my friends took a snapshot of the magazine, and sent it to me, and I was pretty honored by that. You know, talking about talking about being in the top 500 in the world is pretty special. It was my first time I was ever featured in that magazine or on that list. So you know, I'm just honored by it. You know, it's a magazine that I always bought too, and I always read as a kid, and it's one of the longest you know, the longest running wrestling magazines out there. So that was definitely cool to hear. I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah, congratulations, man. That is so cool. You're gonna be up. You're gonna be up even higher next year. We know. We all know that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely, Sean. Congratulations on that wonderful accomplishment, and that right there is just proof of how hard work pays off, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I guess where I want to start closing out the interview is with basically a simple question. What I know it's kind of hard to tell as of right now, but what does the future hold for you? What is your next step as you continue this wonderful journey, working this incredible career that is professional wrestling, the greatest sport in the world today?
Yeah, well, I will say, you know, this past summer was a life-changing deal for me, you know, to be featured on WWE programming and NXT, getting my first crack at that. You know, it just made me that much more hungrier. It really just motivates me that much more. And, you know, I'm definitely going to be looking for more opportunities. You know, I'm going to do whatever I can to, you know, achieve the absolute best that I can. You know, especially the experience being so fresh. You know, it's just a lot of days. You know, I just want to get back in there and you know and keep going and work as much as possible. So those opportunities are always something that I'm going to be fighting for. In the immediate future, I can tell you that WXW is still my home. We're located in Mineola, Florida, right outside of Orlando. You know, we got a great roster of talent. We always put on good shows. I'm actually the current world champion there, so that's pretty cool to have that title again. It's my third time winning it. You know, WXW is my home, and you know, you can always catch me there. In San Antonio, Texas, coming up next weekend on November 5th. I got some things in the work, you know, wrestling back up in the Northeast area, maybe some Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And I'm also working on trying to have my first experience going overseas and wrestling over there. You know, at this point, you know, I just want to, you know, maximize the exposure that I was able to get, you know, the last couple of months, and trying to get better every day. You know, I want to be recognized as one of the best in the world. You know, I want to be able to wrestle, you know, the best in the world. I'm currently a trainer at the Wild Samoan Training Center in Mineola, so, you know, I spend a lot of my weekdays at this training center still today. and that's really the goal, is to, you know, be the best that I can be, and just to keep going.
You couldn't have said it better. You know, fantastic. Like I said, fantastic work ethic, and just incredible, humble attitude. And I know you're going to go on and do incredible things. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised, you know, next year on the PW 500 list if, you know, you get pretty close to where your cousin Roman is right now.
I guess I got a lot of work to do then.
Hey, it seems like you're doing it. You know what? You just got to keep on doing what you're doing. You've had an incredible summer just by the stories that you've told. And, you know, with everything that you've been through and everything that you've worked at, more windows are going to be opening here. And I think 2017 is going to be your coming out party.
Appreciate that. I'm just gonna, you know, keep working, and I'll be ready for any obstacle that's in my way, and you know, just trying to get the most opportunities that I can. And it's just me, I just want to give the fans everything that I loved about wrestling growing up. You know, give kids the same kind of feelings that I had in my stomach when I was growing up, and when I was watching the business. You know, that's pretty satisfying when you're even today. I'm humbled by people that ask for autographs and pictures and things like that. It's still, I don't know if I completely ever got used to. You know, but just because it just seems surreal to me, you know, especially on this level. But you know, I just appreciate everything, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Hey, I definitely appreciate it as well. What is the website where people could go to get their tickets to WXW and see you defend that championship in person?
Yeah, that'll be WXWWrestling.com. All the ticket and event info is on there. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is very active. That's at WXW Rage TV. We're all over social media, you know, Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Facebook. WXWWrestling.com is definitely a place to go for that.
Awesome. So everybody, you heard what Sean just said. Go and check out the website. And Sean, hopefully I can make it out to a WXW show one of these days, and I'll catch you out there, and hopefully I can get an autographed picture from you of my very own.
Sounds good, man.
And again, if you ever have any events, you know, coming up for WXW that you'd like to promote, you know, just shoot me a message, you know, hit me up. I would be more than happy to promote anything that you guys got going on the podcast to get the word out.
I appreciate that. Just a little side note, our next show is November 19th, you know, in our home of Mineola. So if you're in the area, you know, Central Florida area, definitely come check that out.
For sure. Everybody, you heard Sean. If you're in the area, go check out WXW and watch the world champion Sean Maluta defend that title. And Sean, I just want to say thank you again. And before I let you go, I also want to say thank you to you and your family, the sacrifices, you know, that all of you take, and, you know, to entertain us in the business, and for your contribution, you know, for you and your family, your contributions to the wrestling business are greatly appreciated, you know, by me, and I'm sure all the fans listening to this, and appreciate everything you do. Thank you very much for, you know, your contribution in the pro wrestling business, and thank you very much for coming on the show tonight, sir.
Appreciate that, and thank you for supporting our great business as well.
Hey, you're welcome anytime, and hope to have you back on the show sometime soon.
Yeah, man, sounds good.
You have a great night, Sean. I appreciate it. Thank you again.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Bye. All right. So great interview. Great interview. Wow. So many wonderful things we heard. Sean, you had some great questions there for Sean. I know we got Sean and Sean, so try not to confuse anybody, but you did have some great questions, and
Man, speak for yourself. It was just so awesome to sit back and listen to wonderful insight. Sean is certainly going to grow and grow as a superstar, and it's so awesome to have him here and be interviewed by another fellow rookie of the business yourself. You know, like you've been watching a long time, but you're just getting started in this passion, and both of you guys are lighting it up. So it was just so awesome to get to be a part of it here on my birthday tonight. Great, one of my best birthdays ever, no doubt. But I just gotta say, when I opened up that PW Insider that I bought for Big T as a Halloween present, if you will, and I'm sending it out to him tomorrow. But I just had to open it up and peek inside of it, and I'm like, wait, he's probably in this. And I'm like, what if I'm gonna break this to him right now here on the air that he's in the top 500 wrestlers in the world? Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but it was still pretty cool to get to talk to him about that, and to get to talk to him about how his cousin Roman Reigns is the #1 wrestler in the world. And the cover, you'll see when you get it in the mail, it is exactly what I'm talking about. Roman Reigns is a polarized portrait on the cover, and the title says, "Half of you will hate this." And it's just, I was so glad to get to ask him about his thoughts on his cousin Roman, one of the biggest wrestlers in the world right now, and get to talk to him about WXW, which is something that meant so much to my childhood, because let me tell you, no other independent wrestling company ever had The Rock on it. WWE and WXW are the only two companies The Rock ever wrestled for. And growing up, getting to see The Rock on a show other than WWF was so awesome. And I love WXW, and I wish it all the best. I don't get it on my TV anymore, but it was such an awesome part of my childhood, and get to hear Sean talk about that, and the behind the scenes of WXW was so cool.
this is I'm telling you, I'm sitting here.
Am I right though? Like The Rock was never on any other shows ever, except for WWF and WXW, which is a select few people got to see here in Eastern Pennsylvania Service Electric television networks.
Oh man, I just thought of something that I wanted to ask him. We were talking about the Shield, and Sean was saying, about the Shield faction, and it made me think, like, wow, if you had to form a faction, what faction would you like to form and why? And I didn't think about it, but I'm sure it would be like the Usos and Roman or something like that. Or
I
who knows?
wanted to ask him if he had any thoughts on what if the first hour of Raw was turned into the Cruiserweight show for a full hour, because I think that would be perfect for guys like Sean and TJ Perkins and Brian Kendrick and Swan and all of those guys from the Cruiserweight Classic to have an awesome show. And I wanted to ask him that, but that's ultimately up to WWE, and I think that would be a great opportunity for him if they do that.
I'm also, very gracious that a little bit of extra time, and just want to tell him too, I appreciate that. We had him on here for like an hour and 20, and it was scheduled to be an hour, and he stayed on an extra 20 with us, and just want to tell him that I appreciate that. It was phenomenal stuff. Time just flew. I mean, I could have had him on here probably for 3 hours asking questions, because it's so great. And Sean Maluta, again, if you're watching this back, and thank you very much. And I really appreciate you, coming on the show and giving us the extra time. It really means a lot. Looking at the live chat, here, got a couple fans. We got one of our fans, Wags, who commented to question for Sean. He said, if you had to tag with one family member, who would it be and why? I think he actually did answer that, though, in the middle of the podcast. I think he did say, like he would like to tag with like Usos or Roman, didn't he, Sean?
I don't exactly remember. My aunt actually called me to talk at one point during the show, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch because I was on the phone for a little bit, and I'm just catching up with her. But I do remember he had nothing but respect for all of his family members, and it was just so cool to get to hear him. See, that's what I was confused by. I'm like, wait, he just said Chris Jericho, but did he know Big T, that was his favorite wrestler? And then when he found out, it was like, wow, this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's amazing too that two of his favorites are like my two favorites at the top. It was just
Simpatico.
And I gotta tell you, so that answers Wag's question, what he asked us. So he would pretty much like to tag it like the Usos, Roman Reigns. We also
Audio. Well, good thing it cut off now because it was going pretty good on the show. We had a great run, and we'll get Big T back on here to continue what he was saying. I don't know if there's any breaking wrestling related news for everyone here tonight. Not really too much going on. Oh, well, speaking of Cruiserweight Classic, the WWE Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, the Raw pay-per-view Hell in a Cell, the kickoff match was announced tonight, and it will be a Cruiserweight match. The kickoff show, Sin Cara, Lince Dorado, and Cedric Alexander will take on Tony Ness, Drew Gulak, and Arya Daivari in a six-man tag team cruiserweight match this Sunday night on Hell in a Cell Kickoff.
Am I here, Sean?
You are here.
Because we got a couple messages in the chat, Sean, for you from our biggest fan, Miss Lisa. She always leaves her comments and has been a fan for a long time. And she says, another year younger. Hope you enjoyed your special day. Happy birthday, Sean.
Thank you very much, Lisa. I very much appreciate it. And yes, another year younger.
And I gotta say, on Monday, Sean, just to give everybody, give everybody a heads up, so to speak, on what to expect from the channel. I know, say you were just talking about the Hell in a Cell kickoff match being announced Saturday for episode number 26 of the podcast. We're going to have Hell in a Cell predictions and maybe some news and rumors in there. Monday, I know we were discussing a Raw Halloween podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's going to be, you know, a few fun things coming this week. And, oh, Sean, I'm going to sing you happy birthday. Now, do you want me to do it with what I'm going to be wearing for Halloween
Yeah.
or not?
Well, what the hell? Yeah, go for it.
All right, hold on. I have to go get it. I have to go get it. If you got a story or something lined up, feel free to read something while I go get this. This is going to make for a pretty epic moment here.
Oh, wait, you're putting something on? I was hoping you were taking it all off.
Oh,
Oh, shit, audio. Damn it.
am I there?
Yep.
Man, that was a good joke, though. You got me. You got me this time. And no, I'm not going to be the proverbial stripper in the cake. Uh,
Next year.
yeah, I'll have to make it out to Pennsylvania. Why not? What the hell?
There you go.
But
We could go see WXW in Allentown.
I would love to do that. I would
Hell
love
yeah.
to do that. Let's go. Let's go see WXW. That would be incredible. Let's see. I'm looking at what we got here. If you got a story, Sean, that you want to read, and then give me a couple minutes while I put my quote unquote Halloween costume on.
Okay.
So keep the fans entertained for me for a couple minutes.
We are all looking forward to that. Big T sure does know how to make birthday special. Let's see. Gonna respond to the chat real quick. Throw up some love. And then I'm gonna read you all a story. So, everybody, what do we have? Any more news? Of course we do. Let's get some juicy news. TNA has a lawsuit update. Good God. Raj Giri of WrestlingInc.com reports that there was a hearing this afternoon between Billy Corgan and TNA at the Chancery Court in Nashville, Tennessee, over the temporary injunction that Corgan has requested. The judge announced that a ruling will come this Monday, Halloween. You can read arguments from Billy Corgan's console on this link at WrestlingInc.com, and TNA's attorney's response also here at WrestlingInc.com. So it will probably be a very scary Monday for TNA and all those involved. What do we think of Goldberg? He's in great shape. You're right. He is in great shape, and WrestlingInc.com is talking about that. Goldberg was training this week for his match with Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series at Affliction headquarters in Seal City, California. Goldberg is looking in great shape as seen in the photo on his Instagram at Goldberg95. Goldberg with his trainer, just looking absolutely beast. He put in his Instagram, putting in some work yesterday at the Affliction training facility. The infamous, iconic, legendary Bill Goldberg, WWE Universe, training at the Affliction headquarters. Very awesome to see future Hall of Famer Goldberg getting ready to kick Lesnar's butt. What else is going on here? Oh, well, it's my birthday, but it is also CM Punk's birthday. Happy birthday to Chicago's own CM Punk, former WWE champion, one of the longest reigning WWE champions in modern history. Now, Mickie James, former TNA Women's Champion and WWE Women's Champion. I believe she was a former TNA Women's Champion. I really don't know. She is sending some messages to WWE NXT Women's Champion Asuka. Former Women's Champion Mickie James sends a message to NXT Women's Champion Asuka ahead of their TakeOver Toronto match on November 19th. During Survivor Series weekend, Mickie talks about how she's defeated some of the best, including the one that laid the foundation for the women's revolution. Mickie said that she's coming for the title at TakeOver and warns William Regal that it will be an international incident.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, yo.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Want to put a drum roll on for this?
I don't have my effects anymore. I X'd them out. I don't know what happened to them. I don't know how to get them back.
Here we go. Let me see if I can try it. I hope it don't screw with my mic, but let's see.
Oh, here, now I could get the apps. I could do it. Hello, hello. Well, I don't know what happened to Big T. We're waiting for him to get back in the room. But, yeah, so Mickie James making her WWE return and her NXT debut this November Survivor Series weekend in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
All right. I had audio problems.
Okay.
That's why I'm like, can you hear me? Because I was starting to talk and moving, so I'm like, all right, now you can do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the future president of the United States singing me happy birthday, WWE Hall of Famer Donald Trump is on our podcast.
Hello, I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Happy birthday to Sean, supporter. I'm going to be showing up here on the podcast on Halloween night, just 8 days before election.
Making Halloween great again.
That's what I'm trying to do. Figured to have some birthday.
Hey, Donald. It's not only my birthday. It's not only CM Punk's birthday. It's also your opponent Hillary Clinton's birthday. I'm wondering if you have any message to send to her. Is this song going out to Hillary too?
No. All right. Whoa. Excuse me. We are not here to talk about cricket Hillary Clinton. Here to make America great again in 13 days. And I came on here in order of Big T to sing you a very special birthday song. Man, this is funny. What you're getting on Halloween. I'm Donald Trump. I don't know who Sean's pulling out of the bag. But All right, Sean, are you ready?
I am, Donald.
Anybody in the chat room, sing along for Sean's birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Birthday. Happy
Happy birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Happy birthday, Sean. Even though you have the same birthday as my opponent, Hillary. Happy birthday to you.
Money, 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 money.
But then again, it's not just your birthday. We could cancel out Hillary's birthday, but it's not just your birthday. It's also my daughter, Ivanka Trump's wedding anniversary today.
Oh my God.
So you share something with the Trump family.
Man, your daughter's pretty hot.
Well, everybody thinks so. All right. Now I'm back to me. We're Donald for Halloween.
Donald went back on the campaign trail to win the election. Thank him so much for he's back. Donald's back here on the show.
You're welcome, Sean. I'm on that campaign trail. I got to try to win your state and Ohio, Big T state. And then
Florida.
I got to win Florida, the home of WrestleMania 33. 33. I have to win Florida.
You will. I'm voting for you.
Donald Trump appreciates your vote.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. I'm going to send you back to Big T.
Have a good Halloween. See you then.
See you on Halloween.
Love you, Trump.
Sean. I love you too, Sean.
I hope we could have the president on all the time.
Hey, maybe we can.
He's a really nice guy.
We got the Halloween special coming up. We got also there's something that we didn't speak of. November 8th. We're going to try to do some election coverage podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure Donald will join us for that show.
Yeah, he'll be on, not only trying to win the election, but,
Yeah, it'll be good. We'll be the only YouTube show to have Donald Trump live on the air. Election.
And then we got, let's see. We got Wags on here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Sean. And Lisa still in here saying, awesome, LOL, go Donald. Hillary for prison. I'm singing too. Very nice, Donald.
Yeah, it was really awesome to have Donald on the show.
And then Wags says, and we all approve this message. And Lisa says, make America great and rich again. And that's our goal.
Yep. And tune in Halloween night, and we will have the Donald back on the show talking about Monday Night Raw.
Yep, and talking about the upcoming election, all that good stuff.
You know what's funny? Like, you know how you and Sean Maluta had the same favorite wrestlers? Well, you and Donald Trump almost look alike. Like, you guys, I was like, I thought it was you for a second, but I know it wasn't.
Well, I was gonna say for everybody listening, because listening on iTunes, Donald Trump cap on playing.
Cut the broadcast. We got something good going here. Don't let that genie out of the bottle.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, Donald. President Trump.
Halloween night.
See,
Tune
Todd
in.
Todd was just telling people that you weren't really on the show. It was just him, but I knew that wasn't. I'm like way too smart for that to fall for that.
When you look at me and look at Big T, do we really look alike? Now, here's me. And
Yeah.
here I am, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I see similarities, but I mean, you're both handsome and successful men and both WWE Hall of Famers one day. Oh, I mean, it's close, but I know what's really going on.
It's just good old fun, man. Good old fashioned fun. That's what's happening here.
Well, I'd like
Have I figured have a little old fun segment, since we had a great interview and you had a good little news segment while I was getting things together. And you know what? Figured it's your birthday, it's election year. Let's have some fun with it.
Yep, and Trump's going up in the polls week before election day, and it'll be even up and up after the appearance on this show tonight. He's definitely going to win.
Oh yeah, we all know it.
And for exclusive Donald Trump interviews, subscribe, like, comment. Beyond the Ring with Big T Wrestling Podcast, the home of future President Trump.
Yes, and if you want to hear more great interviews like you heard tonight with Mr. Sean Maluta, which is an interview I'm so proud of. I can't stress that enough, how proud I am of that interview. And like I said, for Sean Maluta to give us that extra time was just absolutely incredible. And
I wonder what President Trump thought of the interview.
well, let's ask him.
Hey.
Question that you had for me,
Hey.
Sean?
Hey, President Trump, what did you think of our interview with Cruiserweight Classics superstar Sean Maluta tonight?
Well, let me tell you this, Sean. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Interview I think I've ever heard.
I agree.
I think it was the best interview since I was on the Howard Stern show years ago being interviewed. This really took the cake. I loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Great interview tonight.
That's great praise coming from someone who I would say is the best interviewee of all time. So thank you very much. I'm sure Big T will be really happy to hear that when he comes back on in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Sean, I just heard all that from future President Trump, and I'm honored.
That is high praise.
But in all seriousness, though, the interview with Sean Maluta is absolutely incredible. I mean, if anybody that's tuning in missed it, seriously, watch it back on YouTube or listen to it back on iTunes and Podomatic, because it's one of the most incredible interviews I think we've had the pleasure of doing, and I could not have been happier and more humbled to be part of this tonight. Making night for the show, and for episode number 25, it's just getting bigger and better. It really is. To not only mention what we got coming up later on in the week. I mean, Saturday, Hell in a Cell predictions. Monday, live Raw podcast. And then Thursday, back into the same old motions, of our regularly scheduled programming. I mean, it's a special week upcoming, and I hope everybody is going to be a part of it and, jump on board with us for the top coverage in the professional wrestling business, along with a little humor, fun. We know how to have fun here. But I gotta tell you,
I wonder. I wonder if
after
President Trump could give this, like, you know how we rate shows and, like 1 to 10. I wonder what number he would give this.
well, we could try to find out and see what he would give it if
Yeah, I'm just curious because I know he likes. We all like doing that.
yeah, we could definitely give a reading for this show. Let's what he thinks here.
Hey,
Well, guys, I can honestly tell you that for just a great interview.
drum roll.
All right, start it up.
Oops.
I can only think of one number when I listened to this interview tonight, and I give it a 10 out of 10.
Wow, President Trump just.
With the seal of approval, and my name is Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Wow, that is so awesome.
And I gotta agree, Sean.
I agree with President Trump too.
I definitely have to agree with President Trump, future President Trump, and say 10 out of 10 seal of approval on this one. You gotta go out and listen to it. Got to.
Wow,
I know you said you agree.
This has just been an amazing birthday.
Well, let's do something special to close out your birthday, Sean. Wrap up episode number 25. Let's go into that time machine since it's your birthday, and do today in wrestling history and see what you can dig up for your birthday history.
Good question.
Do it, because I'm curious. So I'll let you take the wheel on this, for your birthday, and you dive into that time machine and see what happened on today, your special day.
Really not much. I don't think too many wrestling events were ever held on this day. Let's see.
I'm sure they got something good. Your birthday, something historic had to happen.
Not really. Honest to God, my birthday's been pretty snubbed.
Oh man, come on, wrestling! You gotta have something on the history books for today.
Well, I could give it this one. I mean, we all remember this, obviously. 2 years ago today was Hell in a Cell on my birthday. And, of course, it ended well for me because my favorite wrestler of all time, Seth Rollins, defeated Dean Ambrose in a Hell in a Cell match. And also, John Cena defeated Randy Orton in a Hell in a Cell match, became the #1 contender for the WWE Championship. And Nikki defeated her sister Brie Bella. And what else? AJ Lee defeated Paige by submission. Gross. But that was 2 years ago today. Let's go back a little bit more. Cyber Sunday was 8 years ago today on my birthday. Batista defeated Chris Jericho to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Steve Austin easily won the referee spot with 74%. Stone Cold Steve Austin was a special guest referee in that match. And Triple H defeated Jeff Hardy to retain the WWE Championship 8 years ago today. And also, Mickie James won a Divas Halloween costume contest. The other participants were Beth Phoenix, Michelle McCool, Brie Bella, Candice Michelle, Eve Gyllenhaal, Katie Lee Burchill, Kelly Kelly, Layla, Lena Yada, Maria Maurice, Natalia Tiffany, and Victoria 8 years ago today. And The Undertaker defeated The Big Show in a last man standing match 8 years ago today at Cyber Sunday. The Honky Tonk Man defeated WWE Intercontinental Champion Santino Marella by disqualification 8 years ago today at Cyber Sunday.
Wow. Pretty pretty interesting pay-per-view. I remember it actually because I've seen it before and
Here's something interesting. We talked about this last week on the show, I believe. 15 years ago today, back when I was turning 11 in the year 2001, WWE presented the European exclusive Rebellion pay-per-view from Manchester Arena in Manchester, England. And in the main event, well, let's go through the card. Bill DeMott defeated Shannon Moore. Booker T defeated Matt Hardy. Billy Kidman and Tori Wilson defeated John Cena and Dawn Marie in intergender tag team action. Wow. Funaki defeated Crash Holly. Jamie Noble defeated Rey Mysterio and Tajiri in an elimination match to retain the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Reverend Devon and Ron Simmons defeated the Big Valboski and Chuck Palumbo. Rikishi defeated Albert. And Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit defeated Los Guerreros, Eddie Guerrero, and Chavo Guerrero to retain the WWE Tag Team Championships. And in the main event, Brock Lesnar and what I believe is his only ever wrestling match, Paul Heyman, Brock and Paul Heyman took on Edge in a handicap match, and Lesnar retained the WWE Championship in what I believe was Edge's first ever WWE Championship match 15 years ago today on my birthday, October 26th, 2001.
I remember that. I remember that well. You know, that Rebellion show was a great show. That's when Undertaker's wife, Sarah, well, his ex-wife, Sarah, because now he's currently married to Michelle McCool, but his ex-wife, Sarah, labor with his daughter at that time of the Rebellion show, and he couldn't make it. So that's when Edge took his place. That's how Edge got into the fold. And Edge had a great match with Brock Lesnar. Keep in mind, this is when Stephanie McMahon was still the SmackDown general manager. She came out at the beginning of the show to make that announcement. And that's how Booker T, who was a Raw superstar, ended up, you know, facing Matt Hardy. Raw got a little bit of action, you know, because The Undertaker being out, all that stuff. It was a great show. The Albert Kiss My Ass match was fun. Just some great stuff, you know. But Lesnar did walk out with the championship belt after beating Edge, and I'll tell you, Edge and Lesnar in Edge's first title match, incredible. When I watched that match, that's when I knew Edge was ready for the big time. I knew that Edge was going to be something special, and without a doubt, a Hall of Famer.
Also, 19 years ago today, on my 7th birthday, WCW presented Halloween Havoc live from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. 12,457 people were in attendance, with 405,000 homes watching on pay-per-view. And on that card, we had Chris Jericho defeat Gato via submission. Rey Mysterio Jr. defeated Eddie Guerrero in the title versus mask match. Jacqueline defeated Disco Inferno. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, defeated Ric Flair by disqualification to retain the WCW US Championship. Also, Lex Luger defeated Scott Hall. Larry Zbyszko was a special guest referee. And Macho Man Randy Savage defeated Diamond Dallas Page in a sudden death match. The match was conducted under last man standing rules. And in the main event of Halloween Havoc, October 26, 1997, live from Las Vegas, Roddy Piper defeated Hollywood Hulk Hogan via submission in a steel cage match. This bout would win Wrestling Observer Newsletter's worst match of the year for 1997 in Halloween Havoc 19 years ago today. Man, that sucks.
What was the number one match in '97 for the Observer? Did they say? Because that would be funny if it was Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, and that was WWF's pay-per-view for October. And then you go to WCW's pay-per-view in October, and they get the worst match.
It doesn't say, but I could look that up.
Because that's just something that struck my mind. Yeah, but that sucks, man. On your birthday, the worst match of the year for '97, and you wouldn't even think that, hearing Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper in a cage. Now it's like I'm tempted to watch it to see if it really was that bad.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I haven't either, because I didn't order the WCW pay-per-views. I've just been going back and watching them on the network. I mainly just watched Nitro and Thunder, but I never ordered the pay-per-views direct. I was always ordering the WWF and WWE pay-per-views.
The match of the year for 1997 was Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin submission match in WrestleMania 13, Rosemont, Illinois.
Okay. Wow. And yeah, so you get the best match there at WrestleMania and the worst match on your birthday. Wow.
Ugh.
I'm sorry to hear that, man, but still, hey, at least it's still history, and it's part of history.
Yeah, at least I had the Edge, Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar match. But man, thank you so much for having a great show here, and for just all the great birthday fun and happiness. And I just want to say I wish all the same to everyone listening and all the wrestling fans all over the world. I like to give back on my birthday because it's the right thing to do. Another year older, another year become a little bit more generous as time goes on. And I just wish for everyone happiness and health and a great year ahead. So thank you again.
Well, Sean,
and
get off the chat. Go before you get off the show, or before I end the show, I should say. Go back on the chat and just look at the love that you're getting.
yeah, I saw it's really beautiful, and I send it all right back. And that's just the best I could do. So I just want to thank everyone so much. It's really great. It's really great to know that there's great people out there that like to have fun, like to talk about wrestling, and I wish them and everyone all the best. That's what I wish for my. Well, I don't want to ruin anything, but when I blew out my candles on my cake, I just really wish for everyone that I care about. I don't even honestly care about myself all that much. I mean, obviously because I'm okay, but I just wish, for peace and happiness, and that would be the best birthday present of all, that everyone I care about is okay. And here's to that. So.
Well, I'll tell you, I wanted to try to make this birthday special, more special than it was last year, just watching Raw, even though we had fun, because you made my birthday special this year. You made that video that you made, and, I still look back at it and watch it, and, that was something really special for my 28th birthday. Just kind of returning the favor tonight with a great show, and I'm glad you were able to be part of it, and you were able to, ask the questions that you wanted to ask. Um, Sean Maluta even gave us extra time by 20 minutes, which was even more incredible. It's like everything fell into our lap tonight with this, and else can listen to this and even watch this back and appreciate it as much as I do, as much as you do, and I'm sure even as much as Sean Maluta did, doing the show.
And thanks to Republican nominee for President Donald Trump for singing me happy birthday. It's just, oh my God, hey,
You're welcome.
Oh crap. President Trump got called away real quick, but anyway, guys, it's just been a great birthday, and I want to thank everyone so much for a year of really really great times, and here's to another year, and I wish everyone a great year. Hope you get what you want. That's the most important part of life. If you have something you want and you're able to get it, you get it. And we got President Trump back on the show, closing it out here. Hey, I know Big T normally closes this show out, but I wonder if for my birthday, President Trump could wrap it up.
Oh, okay. So you want a little bit different here tonight, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Big T's great and all, but this is such a special occasion.
Well, I gotta say, definitely, Sean. What was it? You said something about me when my mic cut out, and I just wanted to say, no problem. I'm happy to be here. And
Wait, who is this?
This is President Donald Trump.
Oh, okay.
That's what you wanted, isn't it? Hey, you don't want me anymore, Sean. You don't want Big T. You want President Donald Trump. All right, so I'll be here and close the show for you. I'm cracking myself up. What am I doing? Wait a minute. Do that again. I salute you, sir. WrestleMania 23. Go back and watch it on the WWE Network if you want to see me shave Vince McMahon's head. Ball. Oh, man, what a fun time. You had to give me that last laugh before we got off the air. Oh, yeah. Sean, it was special night. Glad we were able to have the show that we had, and just to give a rundown before we totally check out of here for the night, to where everybody, what everybody can expect from us this week. Saturday night, Hell in a Cell predictions, special Halloween Raw podcast. Probably next week, like on a Thursday, do a regular podcast, and then next Tuesday, November 8th, special election coverage podcast. So, I mean, we're doing huge things here. This podcast is really picking up off the ground. It's becoming something special. If you don't believe me, listen to this interview back with Sean Maluta tonight. Incredible. And I just want to thank Sean Maluta again for coming on the show and being a part of it. I really appreciate it. Thank you again, Mr. Sean Maluta. Another thank you to my co-host, Sean, for coming on here and celebrating his birthday with us here on the podcast and taking his time away from his special day. Thank you, Sean. And to all the viewers that watched and listened, thank you. We love you all. And Sean, on your birthday, I can't think of no other way than to end this show than how we do it every week. And why don't you tell the listeners how we do it, my friend?
With President Donald Trump.
No, in all
EC3.
seriousness. Huh?
Sorry. EC3, I forgot.
Yes, EC3. He ends the show and takes us on into the next week. So thank you again for tuning into episode number 25, everybody. I really appreciate it. We will see you back here on Saturday night for episode number 26, Hell in a Cell predictions, maybe with some news and rumors as well. We'll see you then for episode 26 on Saturday night. So to wrap up episode number 25, we're going to turn it on over to Mr. EC3, the former two-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and he's going to send us on off into the sunset, close out episode number 25, and we'll see you on Saturday for episode number 26, Hell in a Cell predictions. Don't miss it. Big thank you to Sean Maluta again for coming on the show, for being here tonight, Mr. Maluta, and again, happy birthday to Sean. Thank you to all the viewers, and we'll see you on Saturday night. Let's turn it over to Mr. EC3 right here, right now, and close out episode number 25 the only way that we know how. So I just got to get the screen share up here. All right, it's not coming up. How do I do this? It's not working. All right, there we go. I was having a little technical difficulty. Sorry about that. But there you go. There's Mr. EC3. This has been episode number 25. See you for episode number 26. You all have a great night, and we will see you on Saturday night. And happy birthday to Sean again. See you Saturday, buddy.
Well, this is EC3 of TNA Wrestling, and you are so very fortunate because you are watching Beyond the Ring with Big T.